Hi everyone! Last time you saw us, we had just returned our RV to the manufacturer, and we're headed out to Arizona to pick up this new one that we're in. It's an American Coach, American Eagle, 2018. We had put the deposit down in January once we knew the manufacturer was buying back the old RV.
We actually found it by looking on RV Trader.
Yes.
And we bought it. We found a dealer out in Yuma, Arizona, RV World out there, and they happened to have one.
Which seemed like a fair deal.
Yeah, we called them on it, and they had it listed at a pretty high price, and they were willing to drop the price down to a reasonable level. And then we found out that it was a factory executive demo. So basically what it was is the factory had used it for promotions and things like that, never titled it. And then it was supposed to go back to the factory. Everything was supposed to be checked over, serviced, repaired, and then it went to the dealer to be sold. So we said, okay, well that sounds just like what we need.
We need someone to shake it down.
We didn't really want a new one because we wanted to do some traveling right away, and we didn't want to have to spend another 6 months in the shop repairing major items. So we said, well, if we buy one, everybody said, buy used.
Buy used.
Everybody will shake out all the problems. You won't have any more problems. You have a few minor things here and there, but all the big stuff is solved.
All the big stuff will be done.
So I said, all right.
Great.
I don't believe it, but we'll give it a try.
Yes, we'll listen to everyone.
So that's what we did. I think in March we went to fly out.
Yep.
And we booked our flight. And we had been in contact with the dealer numerous times, all the way up to that point, to make sure everything was ready, and
a wine guard system and
a tow
package put on it
and everything. And we're sitting in the airport waiting to get on the plane, and RV World calls and says, "Yeah, your coach is not going to be ready."
We're like, what?
And we're like, what? And they said, well, the control panel that controls the entire coach is not working. And I said, well, okay, that's really strange. How could that just have broken? And I said, well, so you called the...
I called the manufacturer.
The manufacturer of the part.
And they're like, oh, no problem. They ship us today. We'll fix it right away in the morning. We'll next day it back down to you. So no worries. We'll have it back to you. You guys will be on the road.
This I think was a Tuesday.
Yeah,
and we were scheduled to pick it up on Thursday.
Yes.
So we're like, okay,
that's
good
fine.
deal. So we fly out to Phoenix.
Yep.
And we stay overnight, and then we drive down to Yuma the next day.
Yes, to go look at the RV.
So we drive to Yuma, and we show up there, and it was about noon, and they said, well, we didn't get the part.
No. So...
And of course we had to rent a car. There was a big motorcycle convention in town, or car convention.
Car convention in Yuma.
The place is just a madhouse. And so the salesman said, yeah, we didn't get it. It's not going to be ready.
We're so sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. And I said, well, I put the deposit down in January. I said, why didn't you do the inspection back then? I go, you would have found all this stuff was wrong. And his answer was that just sitting on the lot,
things can go wrong.
Things go wrong just sitting on the lot.
That should have been our first warning.
and I said, well, geez, this just doesn't seem right. This is not. I don't like the way this is going at all. And so what we tried to do then, I said, you know what? We're going to cancel the deal.
Yes.
And I said, let's book a flight home. We actually rented a car, and so we were going to book a flight home. Well, we couldn't book a flight because it was the same day. For some reason, they won't let us book a flight.
No.
So we said, that's fine. We'll extend our car and we'll just drive back.
We'll just drive back.
Well, we went to extend the car. We couldn't do that either because they were all booked up and they had no more cars to rent in the whole town. So we were trapped in Yuma, Arizona.
Yes.
So we got a hotel. We got I think a Hampton Inn for like $350 a night because it had the rates all jacked up. And we went. So he said, we'll have it in on Friday.
Yep. Well, by Friday at 1 o'clock, you guys can be able to pick it up and leave.
No problem. So we said, okay. So we messed around. We went and actually, we showed up like 1 o'clock. And we went and looked at the coach just to make, because we'd never seen it.
No,
we just saw pictures of it.
Yeah.
So we checked it all out. We went through it all and kind of said, okay, that's okay. We'll be back. Give us a call when you're ready.
Yep.
And we'll be back to pick it up. And so about 3 o'clock, nobody called.
So I called.
And so you called.
I call them like, hey, is it ready yet? They're like, oh, not yet. Almost.
And they said it'll be ready at 4 o'clock. I said, okay, fine. So we start to drive down there. And there's one road that leads to this dealership. There's only one. There's only one way to get into it. Well, we get off the freeway to turn on that road, and there is a truck filled with broccoli overturned in the intersection with broccoli everywhere. And there's people picking up the broccoli, and,
oh my gosh.
It was a madhouse. And so there's no way that we could get back to the dealer. So of course the dealer's closed Saturday, the dealer's closed Sunday, and wouldn't do a delivery on either one of those days. So we ended up having to stay the weekend.
Yes.
And so then we actually came back on Monday.
Yep.
And we picked it up. We went to pick it up. We went through the whole thing. And of course the AquaHot didn't work.
Nope, the AquaHot did not work.
And there's a couple other things that they had to fix. So we finally
I
think we got it late Monday, so we had to book an RV spot in Yuma for Monday night.
Yep.
And so we booked a spot, and everything went okay. And then we go to leave, and of course the bedroom slide wouldn't retract.
Wouldn't go back in.
And we're just like, well, that's really strange because you have to move your bed up. And so we're
troubleshooting.
We're looking at the manuals, trying to figure out what could be wrong with it.
Yep.
So we call RV World up. They didn't know.
Nope.
They had no idea. And so finally they sent a tech out.
Yep.
And we're looking at it. We thought maybe it was the switch on the bed
sensors, yep.
that would sense that the bed was up. Well, the just as we're about to do that, the tech shows up like an hour later, and he goes, he's looking at it and he can't figure out. Finally, he looks at it and he says, "Well, yeah, the bed has to be lifted up. Not only does it have to be lifted up this way, it has to be lifted in the front too to engage the switches." Which, of course, no one told us that. And so we did that. We got that going, and so the slide came in.
Yep.
And we left. We headed back to Florida.
Yep.
And it was pretty uneventful all the way back.
Yes.
Until we got into Houston. And we're driving through downtown Houston. We're going probably 65, 70.
And some of the first overpasses were going under with this new, bigger to us coach.
Yeah, so I'm kind of watching the height, and they have a low clearance sign like 14 feet. And I'm like, or 13.9 or something. I'm like, God, this is pretty close. I hope nothing's sticking up that I don't know about
or
there.
whatever.
So I just get under the overpass. All of a sudden I hear boom. I go, what in the heck? I wonder what just flew off there now. And
I'm like, oh heck no! There's some kid up there in that overpass threw a brick off the overpass and cracked right above the driver's seat.
It went about that far from hitting the windshield, coming through the windshield. And of course we couldn't stop.
Can't go
because
stop.
There's nowhere to stop this 45-foot RV.
No, not on the freeway.
So, and of course we didn't have our camera because we bought a camera for the front, but it wouldn't fit on the windshield.
Yeah, it wasn't right.
So we couldn't record it. We couldn't. I mean, basically we couldn't do anything. So we kept driving. Got back and there was a divot out of the top of the coach.
Yeah. Luckily, nothing broke or was cracked up there. So because we were afraid that if it broke and it rained, we were going to have water once again coming through the roof. But luckily, it was just a dent.
Luckily. So.
Then we get back and parked it. Filled it up and parked it then to stay in it for a weekend.
Yeah.
And let's see, the next big thing was...
Well, we found out the black tank sensors didn't work.
Yes.
We had some other minor issues with it. On the way back, also the header fell down over the whole dash. The big piece, it's a big piece of wood.
Oh yeah.
And that came crashing down. And you'd think after 26,000 miles that were on this coach, that the header wouldn't be falling off at this point. You'd think it would have fell off a long time ago.
Exactly.
But apparently not. So we went. I think we went for that weekend.
Yep.
And we were driving. We were trying to run the coach air conditioning.
Yes.
And the air conditioning wouldn't work.
Nope.
In the coach, so it's like 100 degrees in here.
Yeah.
And so we still haven't diagnosed that.
No.
We've had it for 3 months now.
Yep, 3 months.
We've had it into Freightliner twice.
Yep.
We found that the chassis was not serviced at all.
No.
I don't think the oil was ever changed. The transmission fluid was burnt. The generator oil, I don't think was ever changed. The air filter was never changed.
The alignment was off.
The alignment was off in the back. We found that it almost wore the tire right off. So we had to take it in. We had to get it aligned. We had to take it to Freightliner. We got about $3,000 worth of service there. We found that, of course, the front camera doesn't work. This last weekend, the jacks stopped working.
Yes.
So that was nice. We still haven't figured that out yet. We found that there was a structural problem in the slide, and there's water pouring in the slide because the slide is bowed on the top. All the cabinets are crooked. We found rust, like places that were almost rusted completely through underneath the coach. It looks like it had been driven in salt water or salty roads,
Yep.
and the whole coach is just rusted completely.
It's,
There was marker lights that didn't work. The control panel, they didn't program it correctly at the dealer at
No.
all. They programmed it for some other coach. So we spent about 3 days reprogramming the entire coach to get it to work properly.
Yes.
And
we replaced a couple components to get it to work properly.
and then we had so and now just this last weekend we had 2 check engine lights come on as we hadn't driven it very far at all.
No.
We drove it back from Arizona, and then we've driven it like 300 miles beyond that. And we had 2 check engine lights come on and a DEF fluid light.
Yes.
So we just took it into Freightliner for the day, and the DEF fluid sensors were all messed up, so they had to be replaced. So then we actually, the tire monitors stopped working.
Yes.
And one of them was leaking, so we ended up with a flat tire. That was right after we left the Freightliner dealer
Yes.
up in Orlando. We drove 5 miles down the road, and I noticed, I just decided to check the tire, and I went out and looked at it, and it was almost flat. It was like 85 pounds low.
Yes.
So,
Really scary as you drive tire.
We took it to a tire shop, and the tire shop said, "Yeah, you got a leaking valve, but you have a big piece of tread missing on the tire, so we really need to replace it because it's probably going to blow out." And of course, you couldn't just replace one tire; you had to replace both. So that was $2,000. Get it back from the tire shop, and I decided to check the air pressure. The air pressure's all messed up. They didn't even put the correct air pressure in it. And so the next morning, I filled it up. So the next morning, I go out to check it again. The same tire is low again.
Again.
It's like 50 pounds low.
Yeah. We're like,
And I said, "What's going on?" So I got some dish soap and I put it around the valve. Found out that the tire pressure monitor was what was leaking. It wasn't the valve.
Not
it
the
wasn't
original
anything
tire
else.
either.
Yeah, not the tire, nothing. It was just this pressure monitor that didn't work anyway.
no.
So we ended up buying new tire pressure monitors. And so now we're sitting here with this, with the jacks not working, the black tank sensors not working, a big leak in the slide, a few other issues, and we have to bring that up to the American Coach factory in Indiana.
Yes.
So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do much traveling
Until
in
this is all
places
taken.
we want to go to.
Yes.
We have to go up to the factory, and we don't know how long that's going to take either.
No.
It could be a week, it could be 2 months. So that's been our journey so far, and that catches everybody up to where we are at this point. So from now on, we're going to actually document this as we do it.
Yes.
And it should be pretty exciting because no matter what we do, there's always something irritating. There's always something that goes wrong.
Yes.
Everybody keeps telling us, "You guys are living the dream."
Oh yeah, we do. We have people like, "Oh, you guys are so lucky." I'm
Yeah.
like, dude,
We're like-
no, you really got to come out here one weekend with us.
Step into our shoes, and you'll realize that owning an RV is not living the dream unless you're really lucky.
Yes.
So far, we haven't had
We
that
have
kind
not
of luck.
had that luck.
But we're waiting to live the dream.
Yes,
so,
we are.
So we might be trading this off for something else. We don't know. We'll just have to see how the factory treats us. And so far, they haven't been good at all.
No.
American Coach has been just completely terrible.
Yeah.
So we're kind of up in the air as what to do at this point. But we are headed to the factory.
Yes.
And we will document our
Our
trip.
whole journey.
Yeah, on future videos.
Yes.
So make sure you stay tuned and subscribe if
you haven't already.
Yep.